Ladies and gentlemen, there is something almost haunting about silence, especially when it comes from a woman a man cannot forget. We often think attraction is built in the words we say, the gestures we make, the attention we give. But the truth is, it is often born in the spaces in between. When a woman falls quiet, when she carries herself with a sense of mystery, something happens inside a man. He begins to wonder. He begins to feel. He begins to ache in ways he didn't before. Her silence is not emptiness. It's a presence that fills the room, a presence he cannot ignore. Mystery is not about games. It's not about hiding who you are. It's about holding enough of yourself back that a man has to earn the right to know you. And in that mystery, in that quiet restraint, he finds himself chasing something he cannot control, and that's where obsession is born. Silence is one of the most underestimated forces in human connection. We often assume that attraction is built through constant communication, by saying the right thing, offering the right reassurance, or filling every quiet space with effort. But what we fail to realize is that silence itself carries a weight far greater than words ever could. Silence is not absence, it's presence with power. And when a woman embraces her silence, she awakens something inside a man that he cannot easily explain, but he cannot ignore. Think about it. In a world where everyone is constantly speaking, posting, explaining, and justifying themselves, silence feels unusual. It disrupts the noise. It commands attention. When a woman doesn't rush to explain what she's thinking or doesn't feel the need to fill the room with words, she radiates an energy that is both mysterious and magnetic. A man begins to feel pulled toward her, not because she is trying to lure him in, but because she isn't. Her silence tells him she is not desperate for validation, not reaching for approval. She is already complete in her presence, and that unsettles him in the most powerful way. You see, silence is not passive. It is active. It speaks without speaking. A woman who can hold her silence is a woman who is deeply rooted in herself. And men obsess over this because it creates a dynamic they rarely experience. Most men are used to being pursued with words, attention, and effort. When that pursuit is absent, when the silence falls, they are left with their own feelings echoing back at them. Suddenly, they are the ones leaning forward, wondering what she is thinking, what she is feeling, what she might say next. This is why silence carries so much power. It flips the balance of energy. Instead of a woman giving and giving, explaining and proving, she allows space, and in that space, a man has no choice but to step into it. He must work harder to understand her, to figure her out, to earn her truth. And that is where desire is born, not from what is freely given, but from what is worth pursuing. What makes this silence so intoxicating is that it doesn't push away, it pulls in. It doesn't scream for attention, it invites it. When a woman sits in her silence with confidence, she communicates something vital. I am not afraid to be with myself. I don't need you to fill my emptiness, because I am not empty. And men crave this, not because they want someone distant or cold, but because they want someone whose presence feels like a choice, not a need. Her silence makes him listen harder. It makes him notice the little things, her eyes, her body language, the pauses between her words. Every detail becomes magnified, and when she finally does choose to speak, her words hit deeper, because they are not drowned out by noise. Silence gives her voice a weight that endless chatter never could. That is why men obsess over it. Silence isn't a void. It's an atmosphere. It's a current that draws him in, whether he intends to or not. A woman who understands the strength of her silence doesn't chase, doesn't over-explain, doesn't fear the pause. She lets him sit with the uncertainty. And in that space of not knowing, he becomes addicted, not to her words, but to the quiet power that makes him realize he has never truly known anyone like her before. Mystery is the spark that ignites curiosity, and curiosity is the root of obsession. When a man feels like he already knows everything about someone, his mind grows still. There's nothing left to explore, no puzzle left unsolved. But when a woman holds just enough of herself back, when she reveals herself slowly and with intention, she awakens a fire in him that keeps burning. That fire is curiosity, and it is this curiosity that makes him want to come closer, lean in deeper, and stay longer. Men are natural seekers. They thrive on the chase, not just in love, but in every part of life. They want challenges, goals, dreams, adventures. And when a woman carries an air of mystery, she becomes the greatest adventure of all. She is not an open book that can be read in one sitting. She is a novel with pages he longs to turn, layers he longs to discover, secrets he longs to unlock. This doesn't mean she is hiding who she is. It means she is unveiling herself with grace, leaving enough unknown that he cannot help but keep seeking. Mystery creates movement inside a man. It makes him ask questions. It makes him wonder who she really is beneath her smile, what she dreams about when no one is watching, what she feels when she goes quiet. That wondering keeps his mind alive, and when his mind is alive, so is his heart. Without mystery, attraction fades into routine. But with mystery, every interaction feels alive with possibility. The beauty of mystery is that it is not a game. It isn't manipulation. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. True mystery comes from authenticity, choosing not to hand over every piece of yourself too soon, choosing to protect the sacred parts of your soul until someone proves they are worthy of them. It's about being so comfortable in your own skin that you don't rush to spill every detail just to keep his attention. You know that what is real, what is lasting, will never need to be forced. And here's what happens to a man when he meets a woman like this. His imagination takes over. He starts filling in the blanks with his own thoughts, his own emotions, his own longing. And that makes him even more invested. The mystery doesn't frustrate him, it fuels him. It makes every step feel like discovery and every moment feel like treasure. He doesn't just want her, he wants to know her fully, deeply, completely. And that desire is what keeps him coming back. Mystery also creates respect. When a woman doesn't reveal everything at once, when she holds herself with poise and self-control, she communicates that her life, her heart, her time are precious. She shows that intimacy is earned, not handed out freely, and men respect what they must work for. They value what isn't instantly available. They fall harder for what requires patience, effort, and care. But perhaps the most powerful part of mystery is that it allows a man to fall in love with time. He learns to savor each step instead of rushing to the end. He learns that love isn't about consuming everything in one moment. It's about unfolding slowly, beautifully, like the petals of a flower that reveals itself day by day. A woman who understands mystery doesn't just capture his attention, she holds it. And not by force, but by the natural rhythm of revealing herself at the pace of real intimacy. This is why men obsess over a woman's mystery. Because in a world where everything feels instant, predictable, and disposable, she is the rare exception. She is not something to be figured out in a moment. She is someone to be discovered over a lifetime. And that is the kind of mystery a man never wants to solve, because the journey of uncovering her is the very thing that makes him never want to let her go. Words have power, but silence has a language of its own, and sometimes it speaks louder than anything we could ever say. When a woman chooses silence over endless explanations, when she lets her mystery do the talking, something remarkable happens. She captivates. Words may draw a man's attention for a moment, but it is the unspoken that lingers in his heart and keeps him awake at night. Silence doesn't just communicate, it resonates. It makes him feel something deeper than words alone can ever reach. Men are used to words. They are surrounded by noise, conversations, texts, confessions, arguments, explanations. But when he meets a woman who doesn't feel the need to constantly verbalize every thought, he feels something shift inside him. Suddenly, every look, every pause, every moment of quiet between them becomes loaded with meaning. It's not about what she says, it's about what she doesn't say. That gap leaves room for his imagination, his emotions, his longing to pour in. He begins to assign weight to her silence, and in doing so, he becomes addicted to it. There's an undeniable magnetism in restraint. When a woman doesn't rush to fill the air with words, when she holds back from revealing everything, she communicates strength. She shows that she isn't afraid of the quiet, that she doesn't need validation to feel seen. And this confidence makes him listen more carefully, notice more deeply, and value more profoundly. Because when she finally does choose to speak, her words strike him differently. They land with gravity. They feel earned. They carry the richness of all the silence that came before them. It's much like music. A melody without pauses is just noise. It's the spaces between the notes that give the music its beauty. Silence is the same in love. It gives rhythm, texture, and depth to connection. Without it, words lose their meaning. With it, every word gains significance. And when a man experiences this dynamic, he doesn't just hear her voice. He feels it echo inside him. The other reason silence captivates is because it requires presence. When there are no words to rely on, he is forced to pay attention in a different way. He must notice her eyes, her body language, her energy. He has to listen with more than his ears. He has to listen with his soul. That kind of listening creates intimacy that words can never replicate. It makes him feel connected, even when nothing is being spoken. In fact, it's often in those wordless moments that he feels closest to her, because silence strips away performance and reveals truth. And here's the paradox: silence isn't about withholding, it's about inviting. By not telling him everything, she invites him to lean in closer. By not explaining, she allows him to wonder. By not rushing, she allows him to chase. Her silence is not rejection, it is a yaw. It doesn't close the door, it opens 1,000 new ones. He doesn't grow frustrated by it, he grows intrigued, drawn, and even addicted to it. When words explain, silence captivates. Words may win attention for a day, but silence plants questions that live on for weeks, months, sometimes years. A man may forget what a woman said, but he never forgets the way her silence made him feel. And that is why silence is such a powerful form of romance. It transcends language, it reaches the heart directly, and it leaves a mark that words alone cannot. This is why men often find themselves obsessing over the woman who doesn't always explain herself, the one who isn't quick to answer every question, the one who allows pauses to exist. She is unforgettable because she has mastered something far greater than conversation. She has mastered the art of captivating through what is left unsaid. And in a world overflowing with words, that kind of silence becomes unforgettable, irresistible, and utterly addictive. Longing is born in the spaces between people, not in constant closeness. As much as we crave connection, it is often the absence, the pauses, the distance that intensifies desire. When two people are always available to each other, when every moment is filled with words, calls, and reassurances, there is no room for imagination, no room for yearning. But when a woman creates space, when she allows silence and distance to exist without rushing to fill it, she awakens something powerful in a man. That space becomes the canvas on which his longing is painted. A man doesn't fall in love with what is always in front of him. He falls in love with what he misses. And missing requires space. It requires absence. It requires moments where she isn't there, moments where he notices the emptiness and feels it deeply. That is when she begins to live in his thoughts, not because she is reminding him, but because she isn't. The space she leaves behind becomes a constant whisper of her presence. Desire thrives on anticipation. Think about it: a meal tastes better when you've been hungry. A reunion feels sweeter after time apart. The same is true in love. Space allows a man to hunger for her. It allows him to imagine her voice when she isn't speaking, to crave her laughter when it isn't echoing in his ears, to reach for her presence when she isn't beside him. That hunger is what keeps him coming back. It's what transforms attraction into obsession. This doesn't mean withdrawal or coldness or playing games. It's not about punishing him with silence or pushing him away to gain control. It's about balance. It's about honoring your own life, your own rhythm, your own independence, so that when you come together, the moments feel alive, not obligatory. A woman who creates space is simply showing that she does not vanish into a man's world. She has her own. And that makes him want to be a part of it even more. Space also creates clarity. When he doesn't hear from her for a while, he begins to notice what he feels in her absence. Does he miss her voice? Does he crave her presence? Does his mind wander back to her? More often than not, the answer is yes. And in that realization, his attachment deepens. he begins to understand that she has carved out a place in his life that no one else can fill. Without space, he might take her for granted. With space, he feels her value in a way that is undeniable. The longing born in space is not a weakness, it's a strength. It's what keeps passion alive beyond the early stages of love. Because love without space can quickly become routine, even suffocating. But love with space becomes dynamic, alive, and endlessly renewing. It's the balance of closeness and distance that keeps the flame burning, because it allows both people to miss, to desire, and to return to each other with fresh eyes and open hearts. A man becomes obsessed with the woman who knows how to give space, because she teaches him the beauty of missing her. She shows him that love is not about constant access, it's about intentional presence. When she is there, she is fully there. And when she isn't, she leaves behind a silence that he can't escape. That silence becomes his reminder of how much she means to him, and the longing it creates is what makes her unforgettable. This is why space is not distance, it is desire. It is the sacred gap that transforms affection into craving, attention into obsession, and love into something that lingers long after the moment has passed. Mystery is often misunderstood as a game, a trick, or a strategy designed to confuse. But real mystery is none of these things. It is not about manipulation or withholding love to gain power. True mystery comes from authenticity. It comes from a woman being so grounded in herself, so secure in her worth, that she doesn't feel the need to reveal everything at once. She doesn't create allure by hiding who she is. She creates it by being fully herself, while honoring that not every part of her soul is meant to be given away freely. When a woman embraces authenticity, she naturally becomes mysterious, not because she is trying to, but because authenticity is rare. Most people rush to please, to impress, to show every detail in fear of being overlooked. But a woman who is real, who is calm in her own presence, creates a different energy. She doesn't perform. She doesn't chase. She simply exists in her truth. And that truth has layers that are revealed only to those who take the time, the patience, and the effort to truly know her. This kind of mystery draws a man in deeper. He doesn't feel like he's being played with. He feels like he is being invited on a journey. Every time he learns something new about her, it feels precious, because it isn't given away carelessly. He begins to realize that this woman is not hiding herself. She is honoring herself. She knows her value and understands that not everyone deserves immediate access to her heart, her dreams, her pain, or her love. That kind of self-possession is magnetic. Mystery rooted in authenticity also makes love feel alive. Because when a woman is real, her mystery is not about holding back, it's about unfolding. There is always more to discover about her, not because she's pretending, but because she's genuine. She doesn't hand over a mask, she reveals her reality, piece by piece, in the right time. And that process of discovery keeps a man hooked, because he knows he isn't chasing an illusion. He is chasing something real. Men obsess over this kind of woman because she awakens both their heart and their respect. She doesn't need to trick him into staying. Her depth keeps him there. She doesn't need to make herself hard to reach. Her authenticity already makes her rare. She doesn't need to craft stories to hold his attention. Her truth is captivating enough. The mystery is not in withholding. It's in the fact that her soul has more to offer than he can ever consume at once. This balance between mystery and authenticity also protects her, because a woman who is rooted in her truth will never lose herself in trying to be desired. She knows that her mystery is not about silence alone, but about boundaries. It's about recognizing that intimacy is sacred, and not every person earns the right to see her whole world. That boundary is not a wall, it's a filter. It ensures that when she does let someone in, they know the privilege they've been given. And this is where obsession takes root. A man realizes that he cannot access her by pressure or demand. He must earn her. He must invest in her. He must take the journey step by step, with patience and reverence. And in doing so, he falls in love, not just with the parts of her he sees, but with the mystery of what he hasn't yet discovered. That is why mystery is not a game. It is authenticity. It is a woman living fully in her truth. not rushing to prove herself, not desperate to be chosen, but choosing to be known slowly, intentionally, and deeply. And in a world where so many wear masks, a woman who simply is becomes the greatest mystery of all. When a woman doesn't chase, something powerful happens. He begins to pursue. It's not because she is cold or withholding, but because her very being communicates a truth that is irresistible. She is whole without him. She is not waiting to be completed. She is not seeking validation, and she is not bending herself to fit into his world. Instead, she moves with quiet confidence, and that confidence creates a pull far stronger than any pursuit could ever achieve. Men are wired to value what feels rare, what feels earned. When a woman chases, when she over-explains, overgives, or overproves her worth, she unintentionally strips away that dynamic. He no longer has to step forward, because she has already done all the work for him. But when she doesn't chase, when she allows space for him to come closer on his own, he feels compelled to move toward her. The very absence of her pursuit creates a vacuum, and in that vacuum, his desire grows. This isn't about manipulation. It's not about ignoring him, playing hard to get, or creating artificial distance. It's about standing in a place of self-possession. A woman who doesn't chase is simply saying with her actions, I am valuable, and I don't need to convince you of that. If you see it, step forward. If you don't, I will keep walking my path. That posture is incredibly attractive because it gives him the freedom to choose. And when he chooses, it means more. It means he isn't there out of obligation or convenience. He is there because he genuinely wants to be. A man becomes addicted to this dynamic. He feels alive in the pursuit. He feels proud of what he earns. And most importantly, he feels invested because he had to work for it. When love is handed over too easily, it risks being taken for granted. But when it is revealed slowly, when it requires effort, it becomes a treasure he protects. What captivates him even more is the contrast. The world is full of people who chase, who beg for attention, who try to hold onto someone out of fear of losing them. But she is different. She doesn't run after love. She attracts it. She doesn't force herself into his life. She allows him to step into hers. That difference makes her unforgettable. And so, when she doesn't chase, he chooses to pursue, not because she played a game, but because she embodied her worth. She showed him that she would rather walk alone in truth than cling to someone in desperation. And that is the kind of woman a man doesn't just want. He obsesses over her, because in her strength, he finds his desire. In her independence, he finds his longing. And in her refusal to chase, he finds the only thing he truly wants, the privilege of chasing her himself. We see that silence and mystery are not games to play, nor tricks to trap a man's heart. They are the natural expressions of a woman who knows her worth, who understands that she does not need to chase love to be loved. Her silence carries weight, her mystery sparks desire, her pauses create longing, and her presence, balanced with space, teaches a man to value her in ways he never expected. Men don't obsess because she hides from them. They obsess because she reveals herself slowly, intentionally, and authentically. They don't chase because she withholds. They chase because she lives fully in her truth, and that truth is rare. What makes her unforgettable is not that she is out of reach, but that she is deeply in touch with herself. And that is the kind of woman who changes a man forever, not by speaking the loudest, but by showing that the most powerful words are often the ones left unspoken. Not by giving everything away, but by letting love grow in the spaces between what is said and what is felt. It is not the noise that stays with him, it is the silence. Not the exposure of every detail, but the mystery that lingers. And it is in that silence, in that mystery, where a man doesn't just want her, he finds himself needing her, longing for her.